What's good, ladies and oh, that was just me doing my Omarosa impersonation. What's good, ladies and gentlemen? This is the hottest Big Brother rant cast on YouTube by far. I invented the genre. Let's be honest. I am your humble host, Dave Smith, Pretty Boy Smitty, Protocol Paul, Pearl Game Ultra, Smith Dog Trill, all of the above on the ISET test ACT. You know what it is. And we're back for another video. This rant, my 9th rant, will be entitled You Made It Personal, because it was just a great title. Because the things I'm going to talk about, it's going to bring up the hypocrisies in a lot of people's games that try to act holier than thou, but in reality, they're all acting like high school kids. They're all acting like everything is a personal shot at them specifically. We're going to break all of this down, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get into a lot of strategy talk. We're going to get into the constant fluctuation of all of these alliances that are going down as well. We're going to really break this down. Hopefully we don't have any lags and nothing like that. Hopefully CBS will get off my cock tonight. I don't know. But anyway, let's go ahead and start breaking this down by first getting into this veto twist, because it would be wrong for me, someone who looks at himself as a conscious rant artist, to not bring this up. This veto twist, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot stress this enough. I need all of you. If you call yourself a fan of recency bias radio, I need you to go to cbs.com, whatever that website is. Hopefully, I'll put it in the description after this video, okay? Go to that website, and I need you all to give out your 20 votes towards the spotlight veto. And I'm going to break down why you need to put it towards the spotlight veto. I've already used all 20 of my votes, but I feel like if my community by themselves can get, we got 1,000 subscribers. Well, 1,000 times 20 is 20,000 votes on its own. If we can be responsible for about 20,000 votes on our own, then we'll do enough, in my opinion, to at least make a difference. So that's all I'm asking of you. So let's break down this twist. There are 3 different vetoes right here at play, and it's going to all happen tomorrow night during the live eviction. We got the diamond power of veto, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the diamond power of veto, my biggest problem with this is it's basically the Tyler Perry idol from Survivor. Okay, you're giving the person too much power, and by giving them said power, you are rendering the HOH useless. This is the infamous Chima incident. If any of you all remember Big Brother 11, Jesse Goddard, or known as Mr. Spectacular now, once upon a time, he wasn't a beloved Big Brother player. He still really isn't, to be honest, but he's grown popular beyond the Big Brother brand. So now they bring him back because they want that wrestling audience to get into the game. Now, it's all strategic. But in terms of strategy, though, let's break down this diamond power of veto, because it's close to the coup d'etat power, which Jeff used against Jesse Goddard. So essentially, this is what happens. Whoever gets this diamond power of veto, they can veto themselves off, and then they can veto the other person that was sitting next to them off, and then they can replace both nominations with whoever they want. So essentially, they're the HOH. You feel me? That's the diamond power. We don't want that shit. Why? Because that ruins the integrity of the game. Okay? And please believe, if the diamond power of veto gets voted on, it's not going to be us superfans' fault. All of us superfans are very woke, and we understand that we need to go ahead and vote for at least the other veto, the VIP one. At least. At worst, we got to go VIP. But at best, we all need to go spotlight here. And the reason why is because of this. Let's say someone that's not even on the block. Well, actually, it doesn't really matter. Whoever gets the diamond power have too much power, period. But with the veto power, if someone that isn't on the block wins that one, then it is just as overpowered as the diamond one, because you can replace 2 nominees. Now, well, you could take 2 nominees off the block, but you can't replace them. So it's basically like having 2 vetoes, okay? So basically, it's half as powerful as the diamond if you're off the block with the power, but at the same time, you do enough damage to force the HOH to get twice as much blood on their hands. So it's a screw job all the way. That's why the VIP is bad as well. So we have to all root for the spotlight, because all the spotlight truly is if you win the veto, you have to use it. And that's what we need, ladies and gentlemen. Matter of fact, I would actually ask CBS, since they love watching my shit so much and freezing my feed so much, how about y'all listen to me here? CBS, how about you make every veto from this point further a spotlight veto by general, by default? Now hear me out. By making every veto a spotlight veto, you guarantee that people like Marissa won't be trying to win vetoes just to not use them like she did last Monday. It at least guarantees the people who really wanted to do some damage all go for it. And the ones that don't need to be winning it, that just want to say at the end of the game, I won 6 competitions, I won 6 vetoes. All those people stop winning as much because they realize that their game matters more. It's better for the game. And it incentivizes more people to get blood put on their hands if they want to actually create change. And it also allows the HOH to be able to tell if someone is truly loyal to them. A lot of these people win vetoes knowing that, hey, I could bring some brownie points, get some butter biscuits from this HOH if I don't use the veto while they're HOH. A lot of people apply this strategy all the time, ladies and gentlemen. So my proposal is, let's keep this spotlight veto as the rule for all future vetoes. I think it will only improve the game because I get tired of seeing people win a comp and then go, oh, he's not going to use it. I knew Marissa wasn't going to use it before Keisha started crying to her. I was like, look, man, she's looking for an excuse not to. Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, we need to vote for this spotlight, because if it is a veto that ends up doing a good job, then maybe CBS do hear me out here and do make this a normal veto. So that's what I'm hoping for. And that's why I'm throwing it out there. But yes, please, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot reiterate this enough. Please go to that website and vote for this spotlight veto. Do not make Omarosa's maybe her only HOH of the season. Don't make it useless. Come on. Let's really put some thought behind this, and let's protect this sister's nominations, because when it came down to everyone else's nominations on all the past weeks, we didn't have no problem like this. Okay? It's all about the integrity of the game, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, so I definitely think at the end of the day, if we were to have this spotlight veto all the time, it would allow the HOH to still have power, and it would still incentivize people to go for that HOH. Because if you keep whipping out these random ass powers out of your ass, then it's like, why do I need to win HOH? They'll just figure out a way to cheat for me. You got Marissa out here doing a confessional talking about, oh, I hope this twist benefits me. Of course you hope this twist benefits you. At the end of the day, the game was rigged for you from the start. If Shannon wouldn't have been such a damn tryhard with 16-letter words in her veto competition, you know, she would still be in the game and you would still have an extra shield. But I personally believe Marissa started to become jealous of Shannon. And I think she has a jealous streak in her that she hides behind this. Oh, I'm just this chubby girl. But see, when you're that self-deprecating, you have to have low self-esteem that you're compressing somewhere. Especially if you're willing to call yourself that, to endear yourself to someone. To me, they're laughing at you, not laughing with you when you say shit like that. You're not a comedian. You feel what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, Marissa, stop bullshitting. And I'm going to get more deeper into her as we go along, ladies and gentlemen, because this You Made It Personal episode isn't just about Ross, who Omarosa was talking to specifically. This is also about Marissa. This is also about Brandy. This is also about all these people that were butthurt over this, no pun intended, who were butthurt over this HOH competition. Did you see what Brandy said? See, at first when she said it, I said, all right, I'm willing to give her a pass for this. But then she doubled down on it. Oh, I'm a white girl. I don't have a big ass. I can't win this. Oh, so all of a sudden, despite the fact all the past 20, well, it's basically been 20 seasons if you count OTT, okay? So the past 20 seasons of Big Brother that have benefited white people. You mean to tell me one competition has to do with sitting down, which should benefit everybody? Really, it doesn't benefit the men because they have nuts. But if you really want to point this out, it benefits everyone because no one has to rely on, oh, well, I've been doing my calf raises lately. Oh, my thighs are trunks. No one has to worry about that. You're just literally sitting down, keeping balance, and holding your posture. That's really all the competition is about. It's about your posture. If anything, of course, your body's going to hurt the most if you have poor body control, poor body language. And a lot of people in this house have body language because they are out of shape. Now, in Meta World Peace's defense, he was just too damn tall for this competition. He's just too damn tall. Now, if this would have been standing up, he probably would have still been too damn tall for that. But you have to take into account body dimensions. His upper body is taller than some people's lower bodies. Okay, you feel what I'm saying? So he has to balance that posture, and then his lower body is longer than his upper body naturally because he's an NBA athlete, and he has to find a way to bend his knees and hide that shit underneath the seat he's sitting on. I mean, that's a lot of work there. He was bound to be put on slop. I thought he would at least try to survive a little bit longer to not be on that shit because, I mean, when you're that big, you got to be on a different type of a diet. But kudos to him. He constantly lowers his threat level. Kudos to Mark. Constantly lowering his threat level. And then Ross, he kind of just went out like a pussy, in my opinion. He didn't want to hack it. And he just looked at who was left and said, oh, one of y'all can beat Omarosa. I've already won one. Let me not paint a target on my back. Let me just be an Andy. That was whole Ross's mentality. He didn't have the killer instinct. Because if you want to complain about Omarosa winning HOH, well, motherfucker, maybe you should be the one that stops her from winning it. But you didn't have the heart to do that, did you? So you can't be the one to complain when she wins it either. So I want to get into Omarosa a little bit later because I feel like I could talk about her for 20 minutes almost. I feel like I could dedicate half the episode like I did to Shannon 2 episodes ago. You know what I'm saying? So the first person I want to get into is James specifically. On the feeds this weekend, I was very excited because I already knew about the fact that Omarosa was aligning with James and Mark, bringing Meta into the fold, trying to have a 4v4 going, heading into this week. And when she won HOH, she did a brilliant job of being able to disarm people, being able to get James to understand that he needs her. Even James in his confessionals is admitting to needing her. That means he knows he needs her. Because, you know, when someone says they need you in your face, but then in confessionals they play you like you're stupid, that's a telltale sign. At least James is showing that his game knowledge, he understands he needs her. And at the end of the day, I'm going to break down how this thing shakes out if this 4 were to make it to the Final 4 a little bit later, ladies and gentlemen. You know I'm going to go into this strategy balls deep, ladies and gentlemen. No pun intended as well to the HOH comp. But so yes, ladies and gentlemen. So James on the feeds, my problem with him is he goes to Omarosa and says, yes, let's have a final 3 with Mark. He's been throwing Mark under the bus a lot lately. Like he doesn't really fuck with him, but he's okay with working with Mark and her and Meta. It kind of feels like he's scared to have Meta around, so he just makes the deal for the final 3 with them. Doesn't really make a deal about a final 4 with Meta. It's almost like he wants to hedge a little bit, bring maybe someone else to that final 4. And I'm going to break this down because before this veto competition even happens, he's already talking about, oh, we need to figure out a way how to get Brandy out instead of Ross. Now, I don't understand this strategy. Now, he thinks it's smarter to get out Brandy first because then it will be 4 men to 3 girls, and this will be the first opportunity they'll ever have to have more men than women. But my thing is, Ross is basically a placeholder woman in this game. He is not really loyal to any of you men. And by keeping him in the game and getting rid of Brandy, you're just guaranteeing that Ari runs to Ross as another number. So now Ross has 3 on his side. So even though it appears to be 4 men versus 3 women, in reality, it's 3 people in Ross, Ari, and Marissa versus James, Omarosa, Meta, and Mark in theory. But the thing is, if Omarosa sees that they just got rid of Brandy against her wish and they kept Ross, it kind of, even though she hates Ross, it might be smart for her for 1 vote to flip over to Ross's side to get rid of James now because James can't be trusted. And if you're already strong in competitions and you can't be trusted, what good are you? So now James has opened the road for someone else to flip back over to the other side if he chooses to save Ross. That's just a poor gameplay move. Now for him, it might seem like a good gameplay move because it's men versus women. But at this late stage of the game, it is important to keep Brandy because Ari is already stressed to people that she's lost some trust in her. You should bank off them losing some trust down the road. Once you get closer to the money, you're going to see a housewife like Brandy willing to do whatever it takes to feed her kids. And that's going to really help you if you're at the end with her. You should keep her in the game for that reason alone. A guy like Ross is way too damn deadly, man. Way too damn deadly. Mainly because the women are going to have some type of a love for him and the men are going to respect any guy from making it to the end. A lot of people think a man is destined to win the game now just because of that factor alone. But a lot of that has to do with them understanding that James and Mark are now starting to see the, well, not the right light in my opinion, but they're starting to see a light down the end of the road in the tunnel. And they're starting to see, well, if we get Brandy out, then there's 3 girls versus 4 men, and we're almost guaranteed to have a man at the end to win the game. Well, I'm not agreeing with that strategy. I think if Marks more specifically agrees to that, that's a bad move for Mark's game. Now, I know people can argue, well, Ross is a huge target over Mark. So at the end of the day, Mark would want to keep him around. But here's the thing. If you get rid of Ross, just look at the optics if you get rid of Ross. It's still 4 women versus 3 men. But at the end of the day, yeah, Omarosa, she could flip over the same way she could flip over in the other way. Okay? But you got to really think about it. Do you want Ari and Brandy to be together? Do you want Marissa? Do you want her to still be? See, my whole reason for getting rid of Ross is make Marissa have to start playing the game harder. If you keep Ross, she can wait another week without having to do a damn thing. She's lying to everybody. You know what I'm saying? She was lying to Omarosa. Like, everything I've done in this game is to benefit the women. What are you talking about? Your number 1 in the game isn't even a woman. Why didn't Omarosa mention that? Like, what are you talking about? That's like me saying, oh, the number 1 thing in the game for me is to benefit women. And I'm with Meta. Like, what? Hold on, coach. That don't even make sense. But the optics are different because she's a woman saying that and I'm a man saying that. And I just wish more people would call Marissa out on her bullshit because she's not a good talker under pressure. She's not. If Shannon folds under pressure and just starts crying, we all know Marissa gonna do something way worse. Even Brandy, the woman who swore to all of us that Omarosa was her little bitch. She even cried under pressure. She pulled the Shannon white girl crying technique. I told y'all this is a legitimate strategy white women use. And how can you truly trust a woman? Those are crocodile tears. How can you truly trust a woman is truly crying when in the middle of her tear falling down to the crevice of her lips, she grabs a glass and drinks some champagne? Like, what? Nah, man, I can't buy this shit, coach. Now, you could argue, well, Dave, she must have really been depressed because she needed to sip. She's always sipping. You feel me? At the end of the day, if your behavior doesn't change when you're crying in front of a group of people and you still have the wherewithal and the body language and you have the involuntary movement to grab your glass to drink, then that lets everyone know par for the course, baby. Ain't nothing changed. She's playing y'all. And I hope y'all don't buy this shit. But deep down, the other 3 had to buy the bullshit she was selling. We all buy the bullshit. But they had to buy the bullshit she was selling specifically because they all understood that they needed her number. And that was before nominations happened. So they have to be a united front right now. But as soon as Omarosa made the decision she made, which I'll get into in a second, because they were ingenious. Now, I'm going to be honest. At first, I thought these nominations were bad. I thought she choked. But if you take into account the looming veto ceremony and the looming veto that's a questionable, it's a 33% chance of getting this, that, or that, I think she made the right decision. People were saying that she was using chessboards. I mean, she is really a gamer, man. She's really a gamer. Now, she might not be the biggest super fan like me and you, the people who are watching this video, or me even making the video, but she's definitely a bigger super fan than a lot of people get credit for on a lot of past seasons for being. I definitely think she is. So I just want to give her kudos on that, but we're going to get back to that. But what I don't get is, knowing that Ross is this close to Marissa, I'm speaking mainly from the perspective of James. Why would he want Ross to stay, which guarantees Marissa and Ross stick together? Then Ari goes with Ross. Why does he assume Ross will work with the men? I just don't. What guarantee is there? And what incentive does Ross have to work with you? He hates Omarosa. Now, maybe he thinks if we keep Ross, and he's already stressed this on the feeds, if we keep Ross, then Omarosa's a bigger target than I am, technically. True, James. But in some freaky way, you don't know who's going to win this next HOH, James. And it makes it seem like if he keeps Ross, he'll throw the next HOH, which would be terrible for his game. James, you shouldn't have this mentality of all of a sudden trying to lay low. You're not going to be able to lay low, man. You bossed a damn POV competition in the dark in 6 minutes. The closest person to you was 9. Like, bro, you're the biggest threat. This is like Shannon thinking, I've only won one more competition than all of you. It's the same philosophy. You're the biggest threat by far. Don't think because Omarosa won a competition sitting down that she's a bigger threat than you, okay? She's just the bigger wild card than you, James. James, you're a little bit more predictable than she is. But don't think people will send her home before you. They still believe you're harder to beat at the end than her. Don't get the game twisted, James. Don't get the game twisted. And see, I think James has this beef with Brandy that's been spanning since the beginning of the game. And Brandy is so full of shit. One minute she hates him. You know, the next minute she's obsessed with him. You know, today on the feed, she's even discussed, hey, James, how about we do a podcast together after this game? Yeah. You know, you hit up my booking manager. I hit up your booking agent. Yeah, let's do it together. You know, it's like, oh, if I really dislike someone, why would I want to hang out with them all the time and discuss stuff for hours at a time? Shouldn't I be tired of them after this Big Brother experience? What the hell? Now, this is some cougar overload, ladies and gentlemen. Hashtag that shit. This is some cougar overload right now, okay? And she's crazy if she thinks any of us are dumb enough not to think that she's clearly in love with James at this point. And I'm going to get into Ari too, but the next person I want to get into is Mark's game. Because at the end of the day, you got to really look at this, ladies and gentlemen. From a strictly strategic perspective, I think he's playing the quintessential game that usually an Ian Terry, a Steve play. Usually a nerd plays this kind of game. Lay low, make no waves, don't be in none of the strategy talk too long, do what you're told, be a pawn if you have to, but at the end of the day, get no blood on your hands until you absolutely need to. Mark right now is playing that kind of game. And also his confessionals. We got to give him credit here. Even though his game reflects that of a nerd, that of the geek archetype, his confessionals is that of the frat boy, the Zach archetype, the Zach Rants, okay? And it's interesting because I am truly a believer of when you get some positive reinforcement, it unlocks that personality to be used more often because you saw it works. You know, it's almost like in a basketball game. If you know no one can stop you driving to the right, you might hit them with a left drive here and there to keep them honest, but for the most part, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think Mark now, after hearing the reaction of the crowd during the live show, after seeing all the house guests around him and that tense environment with Shannon about to go home and there's emotions at an all-time high and all that good stuff, for him to crack those jokes the way he did, I think it unlocked his true personality. And now in the confessionals, he's killing it. He by far has the best confessionals now. Would we have said that in week 2? Would we have said that in week 1 when he was being a total tryhard in his confessionals? He's getting comfortable now, and he is growing into himself in this social game. And I'm very excited for what he can do in the future. And I'm also glad that him and James are both agreeing to work with Omarosa, but they need to be careful. By not doing what Omarosa wants and by not getting rid of Ross, yes, you guarantee her and Ross bump heads, which normally is a good strategic move. But Brandy won't beat either one of y'all at the end. Based off what she just did to earn Shannon's vote. She won't beat y'all. Ross won't vote for her. Ari won't vote for her. And I can pretty much doubt Marissa will vote for her. But we all know Marissa gonna find her way to the end because it's rigged. But at the end of the day, let's say she doesn't. She doesn't vote for her either. I think Brandy really ruined, from a jury perspective, she risked 1 vote over 3 votes. And 3 votes over 1 vote, whichever way you want to look at it. I think Brandy ruined herself down the long run, which is why I'm surprised James and Mark don't see this and why it doesn't hit them across the head to go ding, ding, ding. We need to drag her to the Final 4. You know, we need to drag her with Omarosa to the Final 4. Or drag her and Meta to the Final 4. Get them to the Final 5. Get Omarosa out in the Final 5. Go to the Final 4. They need to be looking at it like that. But to keep Ross in the game just to bump heads with Omarosa, y'all making it seem like Omarosa's unstoppable. She's won 1 competition. That competition was a competition that, and I'm going to get into this, you know, because Marissa, after Brandy said this is a competition for Black women to win, did y'all notice how Marissa went out of her way on the sidelines talking about, oh, look at Omarosa. She has a booty. She's really good at this. Look at this. Now, I'm sure some of you may have had this thought come across your mind, but I'm going to say this now. Marissa, have you looked in the mirror lately? You got a booty too because of how chubby you are, in your words, not mine. So using that excuse to explain why Omarosa is doing so well, doesn't that, in a way, snitch on yourself to your own alliance that you threw the competition? Because why should you be out before any of these other people, Marissa? If all it takes is to have a little fat back there on the posterior side of the game, why aren't you still performing in this competition? Why are you on the sidelines watching? Dumb gameplay. And it goes to show people will hate on the sisters just to hate on the sisters. We know black women have ass, but it's not like Omarosa has the donk. It's not like she's Zakiya out here. Y'all remember Zakiya when she first showed herself in BB-18, when they first doing them competition with them squads and shit? I'm sure you Big Brother superfans, y'all know what I'm talking about. Zakiya had a brick house out there. Paulie had to lock that down. You know, he was like, fuck this, okay? Literally. Ding. But at the end of the day, damn, I'm over here winking at y'all like Omarosa did to Marissa. And I think she did that, by the way, to try to make Ross put some seeds of doubt in Ross's mind, maybe even Brandy's mind, a little bit of Ari's mind, even though Ari, let's be real, she's an android. You got to upload a lot of this shit to get into her brain. But at the end of the day, I think she did that wink to Marissa to make everyone think Marissa was in on these nominations. Smart gameplay, Omarosa. Real slick of you. Real slick of you, girl. I'm not mad at you. But yes, at the end of the day, Mark, from a strictly game perspective, you know, no. Wait, I was talking about Marissa. Marissa, calm the shit down, trying to shame other people for having fat, okay? When you're the main person that's trying to be self-deprecating about being chubby, and stop snitching on yourself, okay? I just thought that put her in a bad light, and I don't like it when people try to imply a competition could be rigged for a black woman just because it involves sitting down on your ass. I think that was just tasteless, okay? That was tasteless, and that's coming from me. I'm one of the most tasteless motherfuckers you'll get because I'll tell it how it is, okay? For real though. But yeah, so Mark, man, I think at the end of the day, he might be a little bit too tunnel vision with this get Brandy out thing. I think in the back of his mind, he's like, oh, this bitch voted for me to go out when it was clearly it should have been a sweep. She really voted to get me out just to get a jury vote. All right, I'm gonna show this bitch. I'm gonna vote for her. You feel me? I think that's what's going through his mind. I think that's why James is able to convince him that Brandy needs to go before Ross. But Mark needs to put himself in the winner's position. You can't put yourself in a winner's position by keeping someone who can beat you in the game. You get rid of people that can beat you to upgrade your win conditions. I told y'all his win condition went from about 10 to 15 to about 30, 35 if he's able to lay low and make sure Shannon goes out the damn house. Now all he needs to do is get Ross and Marissa out. All of a sudden, I think Mark is low-key the biggest threat in the game because who has he pissed off? Who has Mark pissed off? He hasn't pissed off anyone. And that is deadly. When there's someone that you don't have a personal vendetta against, someone that you haven't made it personal with, call back to the title. You know, when there's someone you haven't made it personal with, you're going to look at that person at the end and go, they don't need to make a lot of big moves because they didn't fuck me over. So I don't see a reason not to vote for them, as opposed to the other person. In this type of a season where people can actually gain all of the information as they watch, people aren't going to reward the best player. They're going to reward the person they think conducted themselves in the best celebrity manner, in the best public figure way. That's what they're going to want to reward. And that's why Mark right now is playing, dare I say, a BB10 Dan Giesling game. I see it right now. But his confessional work is crazy. I would have never thought this would happen. So Mark, my proposal to you, my advice to you would be stay close to James, but when the time comes, rear James off that path of not voting out Ross. You got to get out Ross now because Ross was the one who spearheaded Shannon going out. So make him pay for doing that. Get him out next. Now, Omarosa is still the big target because people will still look at her as the one who got Ross out because she nominated him. You can still do the same game you want to do without Ross. You don't need Ross there to spearhead the strategy because Ross will realize the smartest move is to keep Omarosa over you, James. Now, Mark, you'll probably still survive if Ross stays. You'll probably still survive another 2 weeks because there will still be bigger fish to fry. If Omarosa goes, then Meta probably goes much close after the fact. But at the end of the day, you guys got to be careful here. And really, James, you just got to be smart right now. You're in a great position for the first time in the game. The last thing you need to do is to be double backing on your deal with Omarosa, because this is the first person who's played you straight, James. 3 hours after you made a deal with that Final Five alliance that was trash from the start, let's be honest. You had no business making a deal with those two, and those two had no business making a deal with you three, knowing y'all just had a deal with Shannon, okay? That was helter-skelter. That was meant to fail, okay? That was a damn Jenga puzzle, okay? That was bound to fall, okay? So at the end of the day, you need to stick to this Final Four alliance right now, James. You don't want to be the guy that's making all these deals, because that will ruin your votes at the end. And ladies and gentlemen, hear me out here. I think this is an interesting final three between Mark, James, and Omarosa, because I think if Omarosa sits next to James, she wins. Because I think enough people will hate James for what he did to get to the end than her. Because if you really break it down, even though you can argue people flipped on James, in reality, James was willing to work with anyone who was in power at that time. Really look at James's game. Every single person who was HOH, he made a deal with. Week 1, Shannon made a deal with her, stayed in the game. Week 2, well, it ended up becoming Keisha, but at the end of the day, he was working with Shannon, and Keisha was the placeholder for Shannon. So give me a break on that one. That technicality, it's semantics, right? Week 2, HOH ends up being, I believe it was Ross, right? Yeah, it was Ross who basically targeted the 2 black women, right? Okay, so Ross, he wins the HOH, okay? And when Ross wins this HOH, what does he do? Okay, he makes the deal with James as well. That's how the whole, well, that was the start of the Final 7 thing, but that thing already started before Ross even run it. And that's why Shannon had James throw it, right? Okay, so he made a deal with that. Now, week 3, we got Omarosa winning this HOH, right? We got her winning it. Now, all of a sudden, he's making a deal with her. If he keeps on this same pattern, this same trajectory, he's going to be known as the biggest flip-flopper in the game. Yeah, you could win a lot of comps. Yeah, you was a target from the start, but no one can trust you, and you turned on everybody. And James takes me as a person when it's final speech time. I think he's going to be a little tone deaf like Paul was. I don't think he's going to be able to admit to being a floater, because that's who he is. He refuses to admit Marcus is number 1. He keeps trying to defend all these other people just because he thinks they're a threat. He really doesn't have a number 1. His number 1 was really Shannon, but she's the one who made him her number 1. So he didn't really even dictate that alliance. So really, it's almost like he's hugging on the back and letting other people drive. He just wants to win comps. So he's almost like a headless chicken, okay? So if he's not driving the strategy and he's really just saying, okay, to every strategy proposal that's given to him, does he deserve to win the game? Not at all. Whereas with Mark, at least he's socially aware enough to know not to make any deals he can't keep. And he hasn't burnt any bridges with anybody, you know? So I think Mark, at the end of the day, I think his ideal situation, if Mark is sitting at the end next to a James, I think Mark wins. I think if Mark is sitting at the end with Omarosa, I think it's a toss-up. But I think Mark still wins. So I think Mark beats either one of them two. Now, here's the crazy thing. I think if Omarosa is next to James, I think James loses. So James is almost incentivized to either drag Meta with him or drag Brandy or Ari with him. Otherwise, he can't win the game. I mean, do the math in your head, ladies and gentlemen. Do you really see James beating Mark? I don't know. I think people will respect Mark for being the same person he always was throughout this game. I mean, we've seen it several times. No one even thought Josh would beat Paul. And Mark has been a much better social player than Josh ever was. And Mark has never taken orders from someone like Josh did. So I think in this celebrity season, Mark right now has the inside track on James and Omarosa, which is why Omarosa wants Meta to be at the end with her. I'm pretty sure she wants Meta to be at the end with her. And it's always good to have a guy with you that can win a comp. Maybe she can't win. Maybe Meta does pull out some crazy shit in the final 5, takes out a James or a Mark, and then they're at the final 4 sitting next to a Ari and a Mark, or a Ari and a James. You feel me? Because I think Ari's going to be the last person out of that group to go. I think Ross, I think he's on borrowed time. But the thing is, it's still rigged for Marissa, and I gotta always drill this point home. I said drig. I gotta always drill this point home. So even though it may appear like people have the inside track, Marissa still has the ear of production. So as long as she has the inside track to production, she's going to know when these twists are supposed to come, and she's going to know how to play it. And she did a lot of talking with Omarosa one-on-one before those nominations came. And I think that's why Omarosa went out of her way to wink at her. That was her way of creating more controlled chaos. Okay. So this, man, I just love what Omarosa's doing top to bottom. I think she's really showing her class right now in this game. But yeah, so at the end of the day, that's just how I feel about that situation. Now to get down to Ari, before I get real deep into Omarosa, because I've been jumping in and out of the Omarosa talk, but Ari, what incentive did she have to tell Ross that Brandy did the hinky vote? Ross wasn't in power. And that was when Ross was out of the HOH comp already. Plus, she knew Meta. She let Meta know that information as well. And maybe because she let Meta know who did the hinky, I'm starting to think that's why she was so quick to tell Omarosa the truth when she was in the HOH with her. Maybe she thought Omarosa was testing her to see if she'd be honest, because she already told Meta, which led to her telling Omarosa as well. She's really just spilling all the secrets. But the thing is, Ari, if your number one ally does that, she trusts you with that information to only tell you, and then you tell the entire house, and you use that as a reason why you can't trust them, what incentive do all of these people have to trust you now? They already don't have any incentive to trust Brandy. You and Brandy are basically meant for each other. You're a match made in heaven, because both of you are bad at the game from a strategic perspective. From a social perspective, I think you all are doing just fine, because you actually have an alliance that's willing to stay loyal to you. But the problem is, once you two split from each other, you're just asking Ross to pick one of you up. And I think that's why she told Ross that information when she did. She didn't really want Meta to know, but Meta was sitting there and she didn't want to say, I don't know, and then come back around and tell Ross later, because then it appears like, she's playing the game harder than I thought she was. Now Ross is potential, he's a potential opposition now. All of a sudden, he might trust her less, and she needs Ross to make it deeper into the game, more so than Brandy now, and she's aware of it. So, and I understand why she's mad at Brandy. She was the HOH. Brandy went against her wishes with the hinky vote, yada, 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 yada. At first, I told y'all in the last rant, or maybe, yeah, it was the last rant. I told y'all I thought maybe this hinky vote was meant to be pinned on someone like Omarosa, or maybe it was meant to be pinned on someone like James. But because Omarosa won HOH and James was at the end with her, I think she realized, damn, I fucked up, because now one of them has power. So I can't tell my alliance that's why I did it. And notice she didn't really have an excuse for it. She just said, it's a game. It's a game. She didn't want to give them any ammunition to run back to Omarosa with, which would have put her up on the block even faster. So she has to act like, oh, it was just a spur of the moment thing. I just decided to do it when I was sitting down on the couch. That doesn't even make sense. Okay. Be honest or shut the hell up. You know, that should be how Big Brother. That should be how Big Brother works with your alliance mates. Now, with other people, lie or shut the fuck up. You feel me? But yes, I just didn't understand why Ari was so quick to indulge in that information, unless what I mentioned before is what was going through her head. And if it was going through her head, maybe she's not that much of an android, you know. But I think personally, I think the reason why when she was in that room, because see, what really confused me, ladies and gentlemen, was if you paid attention, Omarosa was willing to give Brandy the leeway to blame it on James, right? Remember what she initially said to Ari. She said, who gave the hinky vote? Was it James? She gave Ari the opening to blame it on him. But I think Omarosa is so savvy of a player. I think she was trying to cause some type of discomfort in between Ari and James. I think she was trying to cause the same thing in between Ari and Brandy. And by asking her that question, she could have already known from Meta anyway. So by asking the question and putting it on James, maybe she was also testing James. She was getting a lot of things answered in her head with that one question. This is why I want all of you all to notice how great of a player Omarosa truly is. Everyone wants to say, oh, well, she's a race baiter and she's insensitive. She said Shannon's cutting her wrists in a bathroom. That's not cool. Well, if Shannon's trying to hide her fucking inhaler, I mean, it's no holds bar right now, coach. Pinfall anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Get the steel chair. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, come on, man. It's all fair in love or war at this point. But I really want to break this down, ladies and gentlemen, because Ari had that opportunity to throw James under the bus, and she decided not to, and instead continue to throw her best ally under the bus in Brandy. So this does nothing but confirm, ladies and gentlemen, that not only did I prove earlier that Brandy, by wanting this podcast with James after this show, not only does she want him to herself, but also Ari wants him to herself as well. Now all of a sudden Ari's willing to flip on Brandy and keep the spotlight, no pun intended, off of James. Or Joshua, as we call him, as the live feeders tend to call him. But it feels like I'm dotting my I's and crossing all my T's, ladies and gentlemen. I've been doing my research. I miss nothing. But yes, so now let's get into Queen Omarosa. I mean, she's wearing that black HOH robe. I'm pretty sure she told them to make sure that robe was black. Black on black looks good, okay? But Omarosa. I mean, I had to put this in the back because she did so many things in this episode. I mean, she got Ross to blow up his game completely. If any of you all was watching the feeds, there's a YouTube video that shows it as well. She basically, after the nomination ceremony, because you all saw what happened, Ross was like, see, I'm not going to interrupt you because I have class. You know, he got real sassy Ross on her. You know, once he gets put on the block, all of a sudden he'll be sassy, right? You know, everything was so respectful until then. But he made it personal. He truly made it personal. And when he took a shot at her by saying her last 15 years of her TV career has made her untrustworthy and all this stuff, even though that may have some truth to it, I feel like Ross was kind of trying to deflect from the fact that, yeah, he deserves to be on the block. But whatever helps sells your boat, my dude. But you would think a gay guy would be better at sitting down in a competition like that. But hey, let me not get crazy now. But all I'm saying though is Ross. You're letting Omarosa's mind games fuck you over, bro. Because I want you all to search up this video. As soon as the nomination ceremony is over, they're all in the kitchen just chilling. And Omarosa's just saying, so you didn't have a Final Four with all of the house? He said, no, I only had a Final Four with James, Marissa, Ari, Brandy. And Omarosa interrupts and says, that's half of the damn house. It was hilarious, man. It was hilarious. She made him look so stupid. And see, what Ross does is when he's lying, he's normally a very talkative person. He's a TV host. That's what he's paid to do, talk. But when you put that pressure on him, I'll give him credit for not resorting to crying, because I think that would look like a true beta male move to let a woman make you cry when you're a man. Even if you're gay, you should be able to go back and forth with a woman and not have the same fear as a straight man would. So I applaud him for going at her and going toe to toe, because the rest need troops behind them. I've spoken on this already. So I'm being unbiased by giving him some credit here in the middle of me airing out some of his laundry. But let's be real, ladies and gentlemen. Let's be real. Ross aired out his own game by admitting to having a Final Four with 5 people out of 8. It's like, Ross, what are you doing? And the thing is, technically, he didn't really have a Final Four with all those people. He didn't really have a Final. Well, actually, he did have a Final Four with James because he had it with Shannon. Then he had a Final Four with Ari and Brandy and Marissa. So yeah, well, actually, he did have those. Yeah. So he had a Final 7. He had a Final 5. He had 2 Final Fours. And I think he could have had a Final 3 somewhere in there. I'm not sure. I can't be sure about that. But that's a lot of different alliances. And by Ross even admitting to having 2 Final Fours, he's showing that he's the one who's the common denominator of how alliances get built, making him the biggest threat in the game. And if Omarosa is the one who's been on the outs basically since Chuck Liddell went home, how the hell can anyone say we need to keep Ross to get Omarosa out? That just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. But it goes to show people are shook on Omarosa. So shook, in fact, that they think the only one with the powers to take out this Wakandan queen, they think the only person who can take her out is a gay man. That's interesting to me. James, the big bad wolf, I think I'm the strongest guy in this game. You would be dumb not to align with me. That's an oxymoron. Okay, we're going to work with it. We're going you know what I mean? That's like, wait, what? This is the guy who's out here trying to flip on her. It's like, if you're this powerful, just flip on her yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, why do you need Ross to do it? because James knows he doesn't have the strategic chops to get all of these women to be on the same code with him. And deep down, James knows that Marissa hates his guts because he was the one who made Marissa go crazy socially in this game. He was the one who ruined Shannon's game. Let's keep it all the way real. He was the one who showed Shannon she has another way to get to the end, even though she really didn't when she flipped. You know what I'm saying? And Marissa probably holds all of that, the entire responsibility of why Shannon went out. She probably blames James for that. James is the one who won the veto and beat Shannon for the veto. James is the one who got Shannon to flip on an all-girls alliance, which would have benefited Marissa more because she would have had an extra shield in the game. James is the one who did all of these things. So Marissa, in my opinion, she's unwilling to work with him. So she might do all this flirting like, oh my God, I'm next to James while he's in the shower. That's just her trying to be extra girly. Look, you have a husband. Stop bullshitting, okay? Stop embarrassing your husband, okay? Like, I don't think that's cute when someone who's married is out here flirting with a 25-year-old boy. Well, he's not a boy, he's a man, but you know what I'm saying? He's younger than me. If I had a girl, a lady in her 40s trying to flirt with me, I'd be like, aren't you married? Don't you have a son watching this? What are you doing? Like, I would just have to have that talk with her and go, you're tweaking. And please don't think you're somehow placating to my ego by calling me attractive in this moment. You're not. You're embarrassing yourself, lady. You know, I would have the self-awareness to be able to allow her to see her own lack of self-awareness. But that's neither here nor there. But at the end of the day, Marissa doesn't like James, which is why he wants to keep Ross, because Ross is the only person that can bridge the gap between him and Marissa. But my thing is, if Ross leaves, James, your next target should be Marissa. But you're so busy being worried about Omarosa just because she has Meta next to her? Like, bro, what has Meta done in this game? I'd argue the only difference between Meta and Mark's game is the fact that Mark has done all of this by design and Meta has done all this just because he doesn't want to be here, okay? That's the only thing that separates the two. But at least people will still feel okay with rewarding Mark with the title of the winner just because he wanted to be there. He has a family just like Meta does, but he isn't constant. He's not a Debbie Downer, as they say. He's not someone who's pessimistic, who's bringing shit down. Now on the feeds, Meta is pretty funny. I'll give him credit. He's grown on me considerably. And he did some shit today, which I've never seen some crazy shit like that, man. That were about to be remember when homeboy from Big Brother 17, the wrestler guy, Austin. Remember when Vanessa turned on him and he walked out barefoot? See, they had the same type of scenes to me, but the difference is Meta, once again, was reckless just to be reckless, okay? He didn't give no fuck. You feel what I'm saying? But my point is, though, Meta, man, I think if he keeps playing this up, he's guaranteed to be in the final five. I mean, who targets him in these next two evictions after this one on Monday? Who targets Meta? Like, why? The only way he gets targeted, which I keep telling y'all, is if people go after Omarosa and can't get her and Meta's still on the block. Then they're like, all right, well, let's take out her right-hand man. That's the only way I can see it. Other than that, what incentive does anyone have to target a guy that won't beat them? They have zero to no incentive, right? So yeah, so at the end of the day, man, I think Meta and Mark, they're almost made for each other. If I'm Mark, I'm like, Meta, let's go to the end together, man. The guys that don't do nothing. Let's change this game forever, man. People gonna speak legends about us. We're gonna be Big Brother myths. You know what I mean? But yeah, so I definitely got to give Omarosa credit. I mean, she's truly willing and dealing it, but she's doing it in such a way. Did you see how stoic she was giving that speech? She started off with a cough. I think she's trolling. I think she's self-aware of the joke that's going around about her coughing now, because the timing of that, it's like, so as soon as your speech finna start, you cough twice. That's some fan service, though. I can't be mad at it. I can't be mad at it, man. She's trolling, man. She's trolling, man. But yeah, man, I definitely think she gave Marissa the death wink. And hopefully, this is the spotlight veto. And hopefully, someone like Brandy, because I don't want Brandy to go yet. And even though I called her the bargain bin Omarosa, aka the dollar store Omarosa, aka the flea market Omarosa, okay? Just because I called her that doesn't mean I want her to go yet, okay? You know, I think she deserves to stay here. I would love to see the scenes. If it's a spotlight video, Brandy wins it, takes herself on the block because she has to use it anyway, basically meaning the spotlight Veto didn't do anything. She had to use it on herself anyway. And then to see Omarosa put up Marissa next to Ross, just to guarantee one of that two goes home. That would be the best way to get around this twist without ruining the integrity of the game. And that's all we can truly hope for as Big Brother fans. But I mean, at the end of the day, I've pretty much talked about every single thing I wanted to get into. So I hope you all enjoyed my 9th rant. You made it personal. You know, if any of you all get casted for Big Brother 20, make sure when you win HOH, you do an epic speech like Queen Omarosa did, the Wakandan Queen. You feel me? I am Dave Smith. This is Recency Bias Radio, where no one is safe from criticism. If you can, please like, share, and subscribe. On the right side of my channel page, you will see a bell. Click on that and you can be here with the most lit live chat in Big Brother history, bar none. Joker's updates, suck a dick. Survivor sucks, eat one. You feel me? But I truly appreciate you all's support. It means a lot to me. I will be back tomorrow night for another rant, and I hope you all have enjoyed this, because I sure as hell did. So all of y'all, man, go ahead and spend that $5.99, get on these feeds, but also spend that $5.99 to make sure your 20 votes can be heard to impact this game in a positive way. Because if we do not go out here and vote for what needs to be voted for, we're going to have regrets about what happened at the end of this season because we didn't take action as super fans. We can't let these casuals dictate nothing. I'm hoping James Maslow's fan, all 3 million of them, I hope they understand what needs to be done here to protect him. I hope they all go and vote 20 votes each, because let's do the math. That's 60 million votes right there if all of them back him up on that spotlight veto. So we need everybody to come together, okay? And we need to protect what truly means something to us, and that's the integrity of this game. So thank you all for listening. I truly appreciate it. I think this was the longest rant of the season so far. So hopefully, hopefully I see it in the view count, man. So share this with all the super fans you know, and let's get it popping, man. Recency Bias Radio, we going to bigger and better levels, baby. You know what I'm saying? We got to boss up like Payroll Giovanni. You feel me? But I appreciate it, man. Y'all have a great Sunday night, man. Please drive safely to work tomorrow in the morning, man. And, stay away from this influenza that's going around. Don't get no flu shot. Don't get none of that crap. And if you haven't seen Black Panther yet, what you waiting for? Maybe you waiting for $5 Tuesdays. I see you, man. Get that come up, though. But do not buy that movie from no bootleg man. If you see a bootleg man in the street, steal off him, because he's taking money away from the movie, from the black director, okay? Empowerment, baby, empowerment. Shoot, I skipped the all-star game for y'all tonight. That's how much I care about my audience. You feel me? Goals. All right, let me stop bullshit. Thank you all for watching. I truly appreciate it, and I'll be back at y'all tomorrow night. All right, man, deuces.